I saw Weapons, which is Zach Cregger's follow-up to Barbarian, and like with that film, this is easily going to be one of the most unpredictable rides you'll experience this year. So I'm not going to get too deep into spoilers on here because I do want to preserve that sense of mystery that's been built up with this movie, not just through the marketing, but also through the storytelling itself. Because similar to Barbarian, this has a sort of balancing act of different tones and genres, even. And structurally, there is just these layers upon layers kind of on top of each other, and it very meticulously peels those layers back as you go along. So there is this sense of escalation in terms of the different surprises, the different twists that you find in the story that is just incredibly entertaining to experience. I think Zach Cregger's biggest skill as a filmmaker is his ability to weave a narrative together that really maximizes the impact of a surprise, because his stories have a way of peeling back layer after layer in a very methodical and meticulous way to really give you these sort of breadcrumbs of information that lead to a much bigger payoff at the end. And the payoff here is just incredible and very much kind of feels in tune with his sensibilities from the stuff that he did with the Whitest Kids You Know comedy troupe, because it does feel almost like a great big punchline. And I don't mean this in a way that kind of devalues the impact of the ending of this movie, because it really was a hoot. It was such a great experience seeing how it all comes together on screen, how you sort of get the answers that you're looking for, but there's still more to it, and there's still more to how it all kind of comes to an end. That is just incredibly satisfying to watch. I almost couldn't believe what I was seeing, and that the film was willing to go there, but that is definitely Cregger's sort of MO at this point, and it's just really cool to see him kind of hone in on this style of storytelling. The performances are really great across the board. This honestly kind of has a very similar thing to the Naked Gun movie that recently came out, where it does a great job at kind of having characters play things in a very serious way, even though there are things that if you really kind of like step back and just kind of look at everything happening, it is very goofy. And I think that might be a bit of a disconnect for some folks, because it does go like several steps ahead of like anything that you saw in something like Barbarian, but it is really effective because of the earnestness in the performances and the sort of conviction that they're delivered with. And it is just really easy to kind of invest in the characters and the journey that they're going on, because there's just so much real kind of raw emotion that's at the core of it that is very easy to latch onto. So I was just really kind of hooked from the beginning, and it never quite let go of me, even when it took very wild directions with the story. But yeah, there's not really a whole lot that I can dig into because I don't want to give anything away. So I'll just say it is just an incredibly well-crafted thrill ride and a really entertaining sort of fable that presents this almost funhouse mirror reflection of a lot of modern cultural anxieties. And it just made a really strong impression. And it's one that I had a really, really great time with. And I'm sure a lot of people will, even if you don't necessarily kind of vibe with the direction that the story goes. I think you'll still have a really great experience with it. So those are my thoughts on Weapons. If you've seen the film, feel free to let me know what you thought of it in the comments.